A quick word regarding going over information or images that have been used in past videos. Instead of going through a laborious process of double checking, I've continued anyway. On the plus side, it probably means it's more relevant. Also worth considering. The controllers repeat in order to enforce their indoctrination. So why not do likewise? Tough to accept that, despite the rise and fall of civilization, sea navigation and engineering, the human intellect had to wait until the 15th century to grasp the nature of Earth cosmology, and that the truth, when presented, courtesy of a group of Jesuits, is that we live on a globe-shaped rock with molten core, hurtling at insane speeds in every direction through an infinite black void, with water sticking to it. The PSYOP's ultimate success becomes more understandable in the context of a tabula rasa, a clean slate in all areas: language, theology and agriculture. They have replaced Mount Meru at center with the sun, and the moving stars with CGI orbs. As with 20th century outer space, heliocentrism may have been presented as appealing to the imagination, keeping things abstract as far as possible. Actual science, when shown, transmuted into algebra and graphs, alongside the perpetual, insipid sophistry, designed to overwhelm and confuse. These wondrous new ideas may also have offered a type of escapism for a population cut off from their roots and set adrift. In accordance with the Hegelian dialectic, a solution is presented and eagerly embraced. Rather like the useless and intrusive technology today, to be introduced via public faces, such as Albert Einstein or Elon Musk, your useful idiots. Questioning needn't come into it. The best not think too hard on matters that concern ye, and tip your hat for the young lord attitude of Elizabethan times. Most people remain ignorant and powerless, moreover helpless against machines and measures whose main purpose is to maim, kill and terrify, pollute sky and land and control weather. 2023, we find ourselves watching ourselves on a computer screen like criminals, while doing the labour even of paying for the overpriced food on self-service checkout machines. Bus drivers distracted from a constant loud AI voice on the electric buses. Pulling off the globe must have given its authors a great deal of confidence. It's all about psychological experimentation and data collection. Just how much can you make people believe, and in what fashion conduct themselves? The TV show Big Brother, early 2000s, was an enormous success. Image top left. A giant Illuminati one eye, bleeding rainbow colours. Millions tuned in to a group of guinea pigs drifting round an indoor space and patio area, walled in under constant video surveillance, doing nothing more interesting than talking, eating and sleeping. A disembodied voice gives orders and hands out praise and punishment, normalizing authority from without, coupled with sheep-like compliance. Centre-right. Many of Leonardo da Vinci's inventions, if indeed his, are siege engines and guns, barreled cannons, revolving bridges and even a robotic knight. Centre-left. Lethal drones our governments have at their disposal. Below, a mobile castle trundles across the landscape. Esoteric symbols rain from the heavens. One man has been sent underground down a well. Post-flood Noah's Ark in the background. Phoenician dome and bell tower. Vibratory sound energy comes from a trumpet. The sword. Disaster in the form of a man thrown down from a cliff by winged Latin motifs. Was Sir Francis Bacon. Born January 22nd, 1561. Attorney General and Lord Chancellor of England. His father, Nicholas Bacon, was Lord Keeper of the Gate, MP for Dartmouth and member of the House of Lords. The flowery titles change, but it's all the same. The real power lies in the Vatican. No surprise, Nicholas possessed extensive lands, handed down from Margaret, Countess of Salisbury in 1544, just 4 years prior to his death. Redgrange, Botsdale and Gislington, likely free gifts of the reset. Father and son are educated at Oxbridge, heartland of academia and black magic. Newton and Voltaire across the Channel are often cited to praise his achievements. Peer reviewing, if you will. So the intellectual net falls. Flat earth biblical truths become sidelined, forgotten, or treated as solely religious. In his sly way, Francis admits to this technique of gaining power through thought rather than force. In The Advancement of Learning, he carefully chooses his words. Quote, and as Alexander Borgia was wont to say of the expedition of the French to Naples, that they came with chalk to mark up their minds, which are capable to lodge and harbour it, than that which cometh with pugnacity and contention. Some historians propose Bacon edited the King James Bible. Others say the works of Shakespeare were his. The feel is that, whatever the case, these individuals were frontmen, set forth at a young age to represent the entire European cabal, whom in reality worked as a team to produce all this literature. Moreover, enabled with the wealth and means to get into politics and advocate principles like philanthropy, thinking about the names of the charities Oxfam and the Red Cross, ways of surreptitiously fleecing the public, then allocating that money, more often than not in colonial expeditions. This would make more sense. There's a strong connection between Francis Bacon and theatre, an enthusiastic organiser of masques at Gray's Inn, a pastime beloved of the Phoenicians. These included The Misfortune of Arthur and Prince of Purple. Seeming innocent enough, could it be they had dual purposes, insomuch as fictionalizing the recent Tartarian past and giving Elizabeth's court an opportunity to indulge in indecent frivolity along the lines of the Roman orgies, while people in the streets of London had to empty their piss and shit out of windows, living off cheap ale and bread because the water was unsafe to drink. The dangerous arrogance of Sir Francis reveals itself, quote, "My ends are only to make the world my heir." In 1667, Thomas Sprat, historian of the Royal Society, writes, "I shall only mention one great man who had the true imagination of the whole extent of the enterprise as it is now set on foot, and that is the Lord Bacon." Reminds one of the MAGA hype over President Trump. It becomes an almost blasphemous adoration. A bit like Trump too, Bacon was made a bad guy for a while, the rogue element. In 1621 there are 2 charges of bribery made. He asks for audience with the king to redeem himself, but is refused. It ends with a £40,000 fine, the sum of which proves the man was fabulously wealthy, and exclusion from Parliament. The little charade to gain sympathy played out, and he spends his last years writing at his estate. Death comes from pneumonia, April 1626. The story goes, the last act by stuffing snow down its throat to see if it could be preserved longer. There is also a conspiracy he faked his death. In terms of cosmology, Bacon is initially influenced by Aristotle, as described in the book Novum Organum, 1620. But by creating France, postulates centres of rotation, celestial fluid and the like. Meanwhile, in the Middle East under Islam, scholars are allowed to excel in real mathematics and physics, unhindered by the Catholics, but not for long. This was probably a key reason for the Crusades. Not so much an ideological attempt to expand Christ's kingdom, but cracking down on knowledge. Bottom right, some chosen few in front of Cambridge Lodge of 3 Grand Principles, number 441. Bottom left, Elizabeth, self-stylized Virgin Queen, married to England, appears in the Globe Theatre now and again to rapturous applause. Also, Queen Elizabeth II's Jubilee. What an insult to see the celebrating of Britain's dominion over India just over a century ago. The majority of the performers and audience think it's all in good fun. And right, one of President Trump's famous outdoor rallies. A contemporary who did espouse heliocentrism at this early stage is John Dee. Born 1527, he was to have massive influence. Dee enters Cambridge age 15, an eccentric, larger-than-life character, said to sleep 4 hours a night and good at pretty much everything. Languages, mathematics, law, medicine, astronomy and cryptography. Closely knit to Queen Elizabeth, promoted throughout Europe. By age 20 he is teaching astronomy and navigation. It is said he cast a spell on the Spanish Armada, causing it to sink, perhaps using existent hidden technology for geoengineering storm. Dee was also a spy and owner of the largest surviving library at his house, Mortlake. Charming name. Amazing he found time for it all. He is rumoured to communicate with angels, no doubt fallen ones. To do this, John utilises a spirit mirror acquired from Cortes in the plundering of Mexico, and also help from his son and a couple of known reprobates, Barnabas Saul and Edward Kelly. Apparently it was these spirits that communicated to him through a unique language recorded in diary form that informed him of the validity of Copernicus's sun at centre. So no surprise there then. The untruth is that Britain did not have until then any real understanding of mathematics. It figures that such liberal arts should emerge from the humanist universities of North Italy in the late 15th century, to spread north to indoctrinate the Anglo-Saxon nations, notably within the universities of Krakow and Ingolstadt by 1470. Finally reaching English shores, Dee and others wasted no time conjoining mathematics with Greek paganism in a translation of the Elements of Euclid. He was a close associate of Gerardus Mercator, originator of the world map we know so well, hanging on every primary school wall. John Dee goes a step further in suggesting that all calendars be moved forward from the Julian to Gregorian. To fit in with all this, something not fully achieved until 1752, but he had managed his intent: confusion. As described, Dee was an unashamed Satanist, but naturally had to appear to be Christian, just as the Pope in Rome does.